A few years ago, Sidney Fales, a professor of electrical and computer engineering at UBC, brought out a VR board at a Halloween party in the presence of graduate students, including several foreign-born students, and they had no idea how it worked. They assumed it needed batteries. No, you don't need batteries. It will move, Fales recalls. I gave them some mystical explanation related to Halloween and they laughed. But when Fales returned later, the graduate students were mesmerized as the planchette kept moving on its own. Or so it seemed. The mechanism at work is actually known as the ideomotor effect, which refers to the influence of the unconscious mind on muscle movements. First identified in 1852. Decades before Sigmund Freud's theory of the unconscious mind, Dr. William Benjamin Carpenter discovered the ideomotor effect while investigating the unconscious mind's ability to guide motor activity. Soon after, other researchers began linking that discovery to spiritual phenomena. A few days later, still fascinated by the students' experience, Fales shared the story with colleague Ron Rensink, a professor of psychology and computer science, and a discussion began about whether the board could serve as a tool for visualizing unconscious knowledge. We didn't know if we'd find anything. But when we did, the results really surprised us, says Fales. When study participants were asked to answer or guess a set of challenging questions, they were correct about 50% of the time. But when answering using the board, which participants believed had the ability to receive the correct answer from another person teleconferencing via a robotic VR partner, they scored right more than 65% of the time. In fact, the robot was a trickster. It wasn't reacting to the video conferencing player, but rather subtly amplifying the study participants' small, unconscious movements. It was significant how well they performed on these questions, Rensink says. If you don't think so, consider the odds of playing roulette when the odds are 50-50 versus 65-35. This implies that one's unconscious mind is much smarter than one knows, capable of drawing on parts of stored information that the conscious mind cannot access. The results of a follow-up study replicated the findings, which they reported in the academic journal Consciousness and Cognition. Rensink believes the results open up more possibilities for further study. For example, is unconscious memory affected by Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative diseases in the same way as conscious memory? It's work that William Fuld, the man who fell off a factory roof and is considered the father of VR, he was also a state representative and philanthropist, would probably appreciate. When asked directly by a reporter if he believed in the VR's mystical powers, he replied, "I should say no. I'm no spiritualist. I'm a Presbyterian." The discovery of the VR's ability to access unconscious knowledge is not the only development in the 125-year-old story of the talking board, however. The reconciliation of William Ful's family with his brother Isaac's clan after nearly a century of silence is the other compelling event. The two sides had long been out of touch until Murch began posting his research on the web nearly 2 decades ago. That's when Stuart Fuld, the then 60-year-old grandson of Isaac Fuld, and Kathy Fuld, granddaughter of William Fuld, contacted the Murches separately in hopes of learning more about their ancestors. At first I was talking to each one separately, not knowing the other one, Murch recalls. I knew about the feud and didn't want to upset anyone. But then Kathy called one night and asked for Stuart's phone number. Turns out we were living 5 miles apart growing up and we didn't know it, says Stuart's wife, Kathleen Fuld. Stuart Fuld died last year. Both sides of the family, which now include the brothers' great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren, have met regularly ever since. Although some descendants kept weir and other talking board memorabilia, Isaac later attempted to launch a talking board competitor called the Oriole board. None apparently ever took a serious spiritual interest in weir, not even when they were children. Not me, Kathleen Fuld says with a laugh. I grew up a good Irish Catholic girl. I had 8 cousins who were nuns. However, she says Stuart was very interested in learning about his grandfather and ancestors, as well as the history of the former family business, even if not about the surrounding mysticism, especially as he got older. I'll tell you a funny story, she says. We went to the Poconos to play golf one year and the hotel we were staying at was having a priests' conference. I don't remember why or how it happened, but Stuart told a group of priests that his family had once made a weir board. All the priests immediately started making little crosses with their fingers, Fuld adds. They started asking Stuart all kinds of questions. They wanted to know the whole story and they had the most fun with it. Even better, the priests invited the couple to take advantage of the conference's free evening cocktail parties for the weekend, which they did. But it made no difference, she says. Whenever we saw those priests in the elevator or anywhere else, they would start making crosses with their fingers.